Which I'll go ahead and get started just with some housekeeping and then turn it over to Eve to get the conversation started. Just so everyone knows, these sessions are being recorded. So video and your microphone, keep them off if you don't want it to be part of the recording. If you have trouble, tech issues where your computer is kind of lagging and you're having trouble hearing, if you turn off your video, a lot of times that will help your computer have a faster speed. I think those are the main. We will try to keep the technical difficulties down to minimum. Type your questions in the chat box and we'll try to keep an eye on that and catch any questions that come across. And with that, I will turn it over to Eve to get the session started.
Well, I may need to, if I have a question, I probably will have to just ask it because I'm not familiar with Christy's laptop. So
yeah, that'll be allowed also.
Great. Okay, well, I'll get things started. So welcome everybody to our panel discussion on innovative programs and partnerships increasing food access for Alaskans in need. We're so excited to be here. Just to start off, my name's Eve Van Dommelen. I'm the Policy and Advocacy Manager at the Food Bank of Alaska, and I also manage the Alaska Food Coalition, which is a coalition that has about 120 different partners at the table to talk about food insecurity and different solutions and for mediating that. So just briefly, just to set the scene, kind of, you know, in Alaska, we face pretty high rates of food insecurity in low-income populations. So back in 2018, which is the last data that we have that's really concrete, you know, 1 in 7 Alaskans faced hunger during the year, and with that number significantly higher for kids. Recent data from Feeding America shows that the impact of the coronavirus pandemic has had a significant has resulted in a significant increase in hunger across the nation, but of course in Alaska. So based on those projections, an additional 30,000 Alaskans may face hunger this coming year. So that would be an increase from 12.9% to 17% of Alaskans not always sure where their next meal is going to come from. And for kids, that number is up to over 25%. So that's pretty significant. So we don't want to dwell on these numbers because, you know, hunger is something that we can come together and we can find innovative programs and solutions for, and we can all work together to really support our local communities. But, you know, there's a statistic that is often passed around or brought up at sessions like this, which is that 95% of our food is imported into Alaska. And that's pretty, you know, that's pretty disheartening, particularly as we see these high rates of food insecurity. And so as we are facing these higher numbers, it's really important to keep that in mind too and see how we can work together as a food system and make sure that as we're increasing food access for more people who are facing need, we're also using that as a way to look to grow our local food production and make sure that we're creating a system that really supports each other. We have, you know, if we increase food access for local food production, then we're going to build our food production in the state, as well as making sure that all of our neighbors and loved ones are getting the food they need. So I'm incredibly lucky to get to moderate this panel, which is going to highlight some of the amazing partnerships and programs that are really doing some cool things to help increase local food access and food production and kind of bring all of this together. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to introduce everybody just real briefly, just to let you all know who's at the table. And then I'm going to pass things off to them to share about the programs and partnerships that they're working on. And then after that, we'll follow it up with some good questions, both from me and then from the audience as well. So just to let you know who's at the table, we have first Nick Royerden, hopefully I didn't butcher that too badly, who's here with Yarducopia, which is one of the Alaska Community Action on Toxics programs. After that, we have Cheryl Antonucci, who is a SNAP Ed nutrition educator with the Anchorage Health Department. Following Cheryl, we'll hear from Daisy Edwards with the Southside Community Farmers Market and the Calypso Farm and Ecology Center, which is outside of Fairbanks, I believe. Yes. And then after that, we'll hear from Heidi Che, who's with the Kenai Local Food Connection and Double Up program. And then last, but certainly not least, we'll hear from Brad St. Pierre with the Goosefoot Farm and the Tanana Valley Farmers Market. So if you have questions, definitely throw them in the chat box, and we'll see if we have time to answer them throughout our introductions by our panel. If not, we'll make sure we get to them afterwards. So Nick, if you'd like to kick things off.
Can I just say something real quick? I'm in the J.P. Jones Community Center. This is the location that I could get. And so the lights went off here. So, and I don't know how to turn them back on. So
we can still see you, Daisy.
I got a little flashlight here, so you might see me turning it on so I can read my answers.
No worries. We can still see you too.
Okay.
All right, Nick.
If you disappear for a minute, Daisy, to go look for a light switch, we'll know where you've gone.
I got a little flashlight here. I'm going to try that.
That's funny. Well, thanks very much, yeah, for that introduction, Eve, and for setting the scene. Yeah, like Eve said, yeah, my name's Nick Reardon. It's not phonetic. But yeah, I am with Yarducopia, and that's a program, an organic and community-based gardening program here in Anchorage, and it's run by a small nonprofit, Alaska Community Action on Toxics, or ACAT, and they're often working on issues of clean water, clean air, and the Yarducopia program heads off in the direction of toxic-free food, and so that's sort of like that's that arm of that nonprofit, and our model more or less is to work directly with community members to build gardens and basically to help reconnect folks with their food. And so each summer we might pair up 24 homeowners who volunteered a portion of their land. So quite generously, a little bit of their lawn or existing garden beds that they have. And we pair them up with volunteer gardeners. And these might be renters across the street or folks in apartments or a nearby senior center. The list goes on, but the produce that we grow together, it's usually split kind of 50-50, 70-30, whatever, but between the volunteers and the property owner, and then a charity of their choice. So we're following along with that kind of Plant a Row program, and that is nationally recognized. And so, but what I'm here to talk about today actually is that in addition to these sort of neighbor to neighbor garden connections that Yarducopia is sort of their bread and butter, it's for the last few years, we've been working on larger community garden spaces at some schools and with the municipality, as well as with faith-based organizations. So yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about a recent partnership between Yarducopia and Lutheran Social Services, where we're helping establish and run a community garden space adjacent to their food pantry in Midtown Anchorage. Kind of some backstory there. The food pantry building, a portion of it was torn down. It was a couple of apartments, little apartments, and about 5 years ago. And so in 2019, we built a garden over kind of the little crater that the heavy machinery had left behind after removing the building. And so it took a little fill and a lot of wood chips to level the space out and get us solidly kind of above any possibly contaminated soil sort of associated with the construction and demolition. But now there's a garden, and it's, you know, sort of a charming little series of concentric sheet mulch beds that you can wander through. And we're growing a variety of perennials and annuals, vegetables, flowers, and a few fruits. But so over the last summer, we've got basically a small group of neighbors, folks in Spenard, who meet there weekly to garden and talk with some of the 400 families that visit the food pantry every week. So during construction, we kind of avoided the pantry's operating hours. We had a lot of like trucks and trailers coming in and out. But as we proceeded in 2019 and 2020, we really decided to prioritize overlapping between the food pantry's open hours and our gardening. And I should say our gardening, that includes the social services, help a lot. They're really involved in the watering in particular, because they're there every day. Some of the benefits of this kind of overlap, I think, is that we're there once a week for 3 or 4 hours to invite and welcome folks into the space. And these are clients of the food pantry in particular, as well as just visitors from the neighborhood. But we chat about gardening, we talk about cooking, we introduce folks to unfamiliar plants, talk about when to harvest things. And so it's pretty fun to be able to show kids, you know, that are waiting there with their parents, and, you know, lead them into a patch of ripe strawberries, or wander around collecting stuff for tonight's salad, or, you know, smushing mint or, you know, lemon balm or something under our noses. So there's some real value, I think, to the experience of picking and eating your own broccoli or berries. And so that's sort of a unique element of that kind of garden space and its location. We also operate a small free food table, sort of highlighting what's in season, and just offering up things that the food pantry might be a little less likely to stock, but that we can kind of grow in relative abundance. So like mint would be an example, or chives or rhubarb. And folks usually, anyway, that gets kind of snapped up and is another great kind of conversation starter. What are you going to do with all that rhubarb? The perennial question for many Alaskans. But I'll wrap up here by sharing briefly that, so this is one example, but there are, even just with working with Lutheran churches in Anchorage, there are 2, if not soon to be 3 other garden projects in Anchorage alone. And so one other example, Dawn Bladow and volunteers have been gardening at the Lutheran Church of Hope for years, and their focus is really a little more on food production. And so they have a high fence, keeping those moose out. They've got a few motorized pieces of equipment to help them till beds, and they're turning out hundreds and thousands of pounds of potatoes, turnips, carrots, kind of those classic Alaskan vegetables. And I mentioned this really just as an example, and to highlight that there's a wide variety of possible and kind of existing different programs, and they can be complementary to each other in nature, because the food coming from Dawn's, Hope Garden, just, a few blocks away, goes directly into the food pantry, whereas our food was more being harvested, outdoors or set out on this free food table, or but they're working together nicely as separate programs. And so those sorts of collaborations are neat. Again, just the more partnerships and kind of, the more you know about what's going on in your community, the more you can kind of tailor a specific program or garden space or community space or what have you to really fill a niche. But so we continue to focus on that kind of experiential, educational, community-based gardens. But yeah, that's one of the things I'm loving about the conference, is to continue to look for new and old ideas that can fit these different circumstances. And that's it for me. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. I love hearing about all those partnerships. They sound really incredible. And we'll hear more about them in a bit. Let's pass things off now to Cheryl Antonucci with the Anchorage Health Department.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. My presentation is going to be a little more formal, a little more didactic, only because we are a program here at the Anchorage Health Department, and I just want to just be clear about who we are and what our program is all about. And I just really first want to acknowledge that I do live and work in the land of the Dena'ina people, and I'm so grateful for that. And I also would like to really acknowledge Summer's presentation this morning. And she really set the bar that we can connect on a little bit more an emotional level. And I'm really excited to be here, and that this is my community, and I'm really excited to be part of this food advocacy community. So I'm here with the Anchorage Health Department, and we are the SNAP Ed program. We're within the municipality of Anchorage. And let me just, let's see here. There we go. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about our role here at the Health Department and SNAP, just a brief history of what SNAP is and SNAP Ed. And then I'm going to just overview SNAP Ed in Alaska, and then what we're doing here with SNAP Ed at the municipality. Our team here, SNAP Ed, with our SNAP Ed team here at the municipality includes Christine Pagano. She's a registered dietitian. She's our WIC program manager. She also provides oversight and direction for me here with SNAP Ed. And then I'm a SNAP Ed nutrition educator. And I've been working as a nutrition educator in Alaska since I moved to Alaska in 1996. And I had a little break from my professional role as a nutrition educator. I've been working out in the tourism industry for about 8 years, but I've still stayed active as a nutrition educator, mainly working with the Prince William Sound Traveling Health Fair and doing some nutrition education and community meals in the communities in Prince William Sound as a volunteer. So like I said, we are a program that we're within the municipality of Anchorage. We're with the Anchorage Health Department. And our health department really has a focus on being inclusive and working for all of us all of the time. And again, Summer's talk really inspired me to how important this work is to be inclusive. So I'm really anxious and excited to keep working towards that inclusivity. We're guided as a public health department. We are guided by the 10 essential public health services from the CDC. And I just want to point out at the core of these services is equity. And that's a really important part of the SNAP Ed program and why the Anchorage Health Department is a grantee for the SNAP Ed program. We're also guided as a health department by social determinants of health. And so how that works for us as a SNAP Ed program really is we are working in areas where our community members are living and work or shopping and playing, and resources like availability of healthy foods or healthy places to learn or places to recreate really enhance the quality of life and can really significantly influence outcomes for the public health. So that's another reason why SNAP Ed is an important program in the public health department, because again, access and availability to healthy food is a very important determinant of overall health in the public. So I want to just talk a little bit about SNAP and SNAP Ed. I just want to briefly kind of breeze through like the lightning round history of SNAP. You know, the N in SNAP is for nutrition, and that's really what we're all about is nutrition education at SNAP Ed. And SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. The A in SNAP is for assistance. I also like to think that A is for access as well. So the SNAP program started, this is kind of just a really brief history. From 1939 on, you know, the US agriculture had surpluses in 1939, and there were millions of people out of work. And so this plan that came about by the USDA was to try and bridge that gap between the agriculture surplus and people in need. So this was the first food stamp plan that came about in 1939. But once our country got into the war effort, so that lasted about 4 years, the surplus wasn't as strong and our priorities went more towards the war effort. So that food stamp plan was actually ended after 4 years, and it came back in 1961 when the then new President Kennedy learned just learned about poverty and really learned about the impacts of hunger in Appalachia. So the first executive order that was signed in 1961 was to institute this, reinstitute the food stamp plan. So it became a pilot program in 61, and then it became the Food Stamp Act in 64. And then from the 1960s all the way through to 2008, the program expanded through lots of legislation, and that's a whole nother conversation, really, just talking about the legislation that governs the SNAP program. And it really grew into the program that we have today. Today, the SNAP program is really expanded to a nationwide program. It serves about 38 million Americans, and about 1 in 9 Alaskans participates in the SNAP program, or about 85,000 Alaskans. This number is from fiscal year 2020, which means that these were the participants who were counted in 2019. And again, there's a lot to talk about just with the legislative aspects of SNAP and the numbers of people who are participating in SNAP. But we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the changes in this program. In 2008, the Food Conservation and Energy Act changed the name from food stamps to SNAP. It officially became the SNAP program as part of that legislation. And then in 2010, the program, the nutrition aspect, or the nutrition education aspect of the program, grew even further. The nutrition and education aspect of the SNAP program started in 1988 with the land-grant universities providing nutrition education. But that has grown now to all 50 states. It's a federal funding formula grant program that offers nutrition education to SNAP eligible participants in all 50 states. And the emphasis really with SNAP Ed is on obesity prevention, nutrition education, promotion of physical activity. And it's all over, like I said, it's available in all 50 states. So it's this really large network now of SNAP Ed programs, SNAP Ed resources, and availability for nutrition education for SNAP Ed participants. So this is kind of the overall big picture of SNAP Ed. And now I want to go over just a little bit about what's happening in Alaska. There are several grantees providing SNAP Ed nutrition education in Alaska. In the North Slope Borough, there's programs in Utqiagvik and Wainwright and Advocacy. And the main focus in Antonucci Pass, and the main focus in the northern region is to improve school wellness policies and provide nutrition education in schools in those areas. Rural CAP also has a program that serves Anchorage and Gamble and Svonga and St. Michael, Stevens, Nome, Homer, and Kodiak. And the strategy that they're working on is also to improve school wellness policies and practices for healthy eating and physical activity throughout the schools. And Rural CAP is also working on a hydroponic garden program with the students in those areas, in those rural areas. So it would be, if you're interested in what some of the other SNAP Ed programs are doing throughout the state, I think it'd be great to be able to get to know them and to partner with them. And if you want more information about how to reach them, we can certainly connect you with them. And then here in the Anchorage and Mat-Su, the cooperative extension services through the university are providing, also doing some programs to improve school wellness and nutrition policies, healthy retail practices and policies, and direct nutrition education. So let me tell you a little bit now about what we're doing here at the Anchorage Health Department with our SNAP Ed projects. The strategies we're focusing on are to support the development of healthy retail practices and policies. We're mainly focusing on healthy retail and convenience stores and grocery store and small grocery stores. We've started a partnership with the Red Apple grocery store, and they've been a reliable partner with the WIC program in the past to provide nutrition education and grocery store tours and demonstrations. And so we're building on that relationship with them, and we're working on a a healthy retail recognition program with them. And what we really focus on in SNAP Ed is not only direct nutrition education, where we're, you know, having nutrition classes with participants, and I'll talk a little bit about that, but we're also focusing on policy, system, and environmental changes. And so our healthy retail recognition program, really, we want to focus on where are our SNAP eligible community members shopping, and how can we make it a healthier shopping experience for them. We also have, because we're with the Anchorage municipality, we have access to a mapping program, and we have access to help, or we have the opportunity to provide access for SNAP eligible participants to understand where are community gardens, where are our farms. We also have our mapping program that helps our participants understand where parks and facilities are. So these are all areas that are open for partnership within the municipality, and then with you all to help strengthen these tools that we already have. We'd love to strengthen our mapping system to include farmers markets that accept SNAP, to make sure that the map is accurate and the community gardens are mapped out, and that our community members have access to this resource. Same with our park and facility maps. With our healthy retail recognition program, what we're really trying to do is to engage small stores to provide healthy options and to highlight the healthy options that they have. And so in the short term, we're really working to engage with the small stores, evaluate their stores. So we want to get in and do a friendly assessment of the store and meet with the store managers and the store owners, and really talk about ways that the store owners can enhance their stores to create a more of a community market, so that SNAP eligible community members know that that store has foods available that they can shop at. In the long term, we'd really like to see some of our small stores achieve what's called like a community champion, where they're really wanting to make a lot of changes to their stores to promote healthy foods and really include more retailers, have a recognition program where these retailers are recognized by the municipality of Anchorage and recognized by the community at large as an option for folks to buy foods. And that means including more fruits and vegetables in their store, having fruits and vegetables priced at a price that is affordable. There's lots of ways that stores can achieve this recognition as a community champion. And really in the long term, we really hope that our SNAP eligible shoppers expect a healthy retail experience when they walk into a store to use their SNAP. Another program then another strategy that we're working on in our policies and systems and environmental approach is to expand the number of farmers markets that accept SNAP, and to increase the awareness for SNAP eligible participants to know that they can shop at the farmers markets. So the goal here is really to increase access for SNAP eligible families in Anchorage. You know, the beauty and the thing that I love the most about our SNAP Ed program is partnerships are a big part of what we do. Being part of this panel, being able to present to you today and have a conversation about access is so important. And I'm really excited that I can be part of this advocacy community, and I can reach out and know that that's a big part of our program, is to join partnerships to accomplish these strategies. So increasing access for SNAP eligible families in Anchorage is a really important goal of ours. And in the short term, we really want to gain the trust of the community. We really want to gain relationship with farmers markets and direct market farmers, and really help engage and facilitate the process of accepting SNAP at their markets. And in the long term, we really want SNAP to be ubiquitous at our Anchorage farmers markets. And we really want our SNAP eligible customers just to come to expect that they're going to shop at the farmers markets with their SNAP EBT and be able to buy locally grown foods. We also work with direct nutrition education is also a part of our program. So we right now we're working with an evidence-based curriculum, and that's really an important part of the SNAP Ed, basically the legislation. The SNAP Ed legislation is that our programs are evidence-based, that we provide strong partnerships in our communities. So we're working right now to offer this curriculum, Plan, Shop, Save, and Cook. It's a resource management curriculum that helps SNAP eligible participants learn about how to plan their meals, making menus, making shopping lists. What are some of the hacks that are useful in the grocery store for saving money? So this, going along with our Healthy Retail Recognition Program, and then some other partnerships that hopefully we can form to really kind of bring it all full circle with our SNAP eligible community members. And then, so in the short term, we're hoping to really promote a healthy eating and resource management curriculum. But in the long term, we're really hoping that this just becomes normalized, that our community members, come to expect nutrition education and carry those skills forward, not only through our program of direct education, but through the other SNAP Ed programs throughout the state that are working in the schools with the school wellness policies. And then our SNAP eligible community members really drive demand for healthy foods. That we really approach it as a food equity and a food justice issue, that we have a large number of community members who are eligible for SNAP, who are participating in the SNAP program. They have buying power, and we really want to help empower our SNAP eligible community members to get out and to expect that they're going to be able to buy healthy foods with their SNAP. So some of the challenges we face for 2020, for fiscal year 20, is just like many nonprofits and health organizations, is hiring and retaining trained staff. And then having limited access to get out into the community has been the biggest challenge. We are a community-driven program. We're really, the focus is to be able to get out and to meet people and to talk to retailers and do nutrition education. And we've just been very limited on how we can do that this year. So I'm looking forward to the time when we can be out and meeting face-to-face and doing classes and being out in the communities. The farmers markets were, did a great job of keeping people safe this year. And it was really great to get out and meet some of the farmers and get out to the farmers markets. So our successes really is, I came on in June, and I feel like I'm, getting a good start with establishing relationships. I'm really excited to be part of the food advocacy community, and then just building trust and rapport and letting people know what SNAP Ed is all about, and just collaborating even within our own public health department with the WIC program, with our public information officer who helps us with branding and helps us with our messaging and our media contacts. We had a pretty successful campaign in collaboration with the WIC and our Anchorage Health Department for Farmers Market Week, and that was kind of one of the first activities that we were able to do this fiscal year, which started July 1st. So looking into the
Cheryl.
Yeah.
This is all wonderful information, and I want to make sure that we leave some content for you to answer your questions.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to move on then.
All right.
So we're looking forward to we are looking forward to the fiscal year 21 and moving forward with all of the plans that we have. So I will go ahead and thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cheryl. That you have so much information, a wealth of knowledge. It's really amazing, and thanks for that wonderful overview.
Yeah,
we're gonna we're gonna turn things over now to Daisy Edwards.
I kind of figured out how this light works, but I have to get up and walk up underneath it, and then it turns back on for me. So when you see me moving back, it's because I can't see anything. Okay. In South Fairbanks, also referred to as South Cushman, I am the market manager at the Southside Community Farmers Market, and it's sponsored by Calypso Farm. But in South Fairbanks, which is also referred to as South Cushman's, there are no major supermarkets such as Safeway, Fred Meyer's, or Walmart. The nearest supermarket is located 4 to 7 miles from the South Cushman area. Getting the farmers market established in South Cushman's was one of our biggest challenges, and letting the residents know that they have a farmers market in their neighborhood where they could purchase a variety of fresh nutritional produce and other edible, such as baked goods, eggs, honey, poultry. Um, and this was quite a task initially, but through persistence and dedication, the market is well off its feet now. We accept food stamps, WIC, and senior coupons. We also provide information regarding the eligibility criteria for food stamps, WIC, and senior coupons. And we provide the address where customers who are interested can apply for these programs. The community has grown to be very fond and supportive of their farmers market. We have a Southside Farmers Market Steering Committee. Under the direction of the steering committee, the market continues to flourish. The steering committee consists of volunteers who reside in the community and shop at the farmers market. Sorry about that, my light went out so I couldn't see. Each member brings expertise into the committee, such as computer and advertising skills. We have a skilled social worker who is very knowledgeable of the community agencies, and she acts as a liaison for the market. Other community members receive or have been recipients of WIC and food stamps, and this is their area of expertise. We have a chef, and we call her Chef at the Market, and she prepares samples of of foods and provides them to our customers. And she also provides recipe cards so that the customers can prepare this at home. The committee meets monthly to set goals and plan activities. The committee also receives, committee members receives an honorarium or stipend for attending and participating in the monthly meetings while planning the activities. A meal is also provided for the committee members, and babysitting fees are provided for members who require it. Since most of our committee members are low income or were formerly low income, by providing the babysitting and the stipend, this enables them to come and relieve them of the financial responsibilities associated with the activities, with the planning activities for the market. This year, we offered 50%, we offered an up to 50% off the purchase price of the produce at the market for our families that were in need. It was based on an honorary system. This was set up for families who do not receive WIC, food stamps, or senior coupons. These families are right on the edge budget-wise, and they live from paycheck to paycheck. We received funding through the social media, emailing, and local grassroots people who were just wonderful. They supported us by providing just small amounts of money to help with the families and customers who lack enough financial stability to purchase some of the items at the market. Local businesses, companies, and other organizations also made donations. we applied for and received a USDA Farmers Market grant. This is also used to offset the cost of produce for our families who do not receive the WIC food stamps or the senior coupons. We received the grant, and from the money combined from the grant, the donations from the agencies, business, and other organizations in the community, and especially the money that was donated by our grassroots community members. It was just very exciting, and the donors really were interested in other people in our community who had less or needed support, financial support. With the funds that we raise from this, from the fundraising, it was very successful. From the funds that we received, we were able to offset the 50% discount offered to our customers, and we were able to pay the farmers full price for their produce. The exciting part about this fundraising was the people, they could request up to a 50% discount on the purchasing of the produce, but it was amazing because there were very few who requested the 50%, and others received as low as 10%. Some even said, we won't take it, we don't need it, we'll leave it for other people. So it was one of the most exciting and successful fundraisers that we planned. Yeah. A minute. Right. I think that's about what basically what I wanted to tell you. I think I did mention that we, the committee members, receive a stipend to help so that they can attend the committee meetings without having any financial requirements on their part, on their budgets. That's about basically what our farmers market are. We're really very proud of it. It's growing and flourishing like mad. Oh, the other thing that I should mention that the committee plans is it plans activities at the market. And these activities include, we have a table set up so that the community customers can sit and talk. And we have games such as dominoes, checkers, chess. And from one of the other agencies in the community, we are able to get a volunteer from their staff to provide activities for the children while their parents are shopping at the market. And it's really exciting. And the kids love it and they don't want to go home. We have the WIC office is very near us, so our market. So oftentimes on the day that they get paid, they come down as a group to the market. And you can see the baby carriages and the being pushed by the customers, and they also kind of sit around and talk. We have the tables especially set up for our senior citizens who cannot stand for long periods of time and need assistance shopping. So the committee members will help them and help them to take their produce to the car. We are also seeking funding and looking into funding for a bus to transport our senior citizens and handicapped residents to and from the market. we've asked, we're gonna, like I said, we're looking into grant monies, and we've also contacted the local businesses and organizations and companies to see if any of them would be willing to donate a bus to the market so that our customers can get to the market with ease. That's basically what we do.
That's wonderful, Daisy. Thanks so much for sharing. It sounds like a really wonderful community meeting place, and I love to hear that involvement of the committee members. Thanks so much for sharing. I'm looking forward to hearing more. We're gonna pass it on now to Heidi.
Thanks, Eve. Daisy, thank you so much for that inspiring story of a great farmers market model. I hadn't heard the story of Southside Farmers Market, and so rooted in your community.
Oh,
my name is Heidi.
I need to add that I live in the community too. And
Very
many
clear.
of the committee members also live in the community.
Great model. So yeah, thank you for sharing. My name is Heidi Che. I live in Kenai. I work at the Kenai Soil and Water Conservation District, and I'm a volunteer with Kenai Local Food Connection. And I'd like to share some quick slides with you about the Double Up program. And starting my timer. Kenai Local Food Connection is a grassroots group here in Kenai Soldotna. We've been, no, I don't have control over my slides.
Try just clicking on the screen. Try putting your mouse on the screen and clicking.
Thank you. That'll do. Thank you, Amy. So Kenai Local Food Connection is a grassroots group we started around 2013. And we serve a population of around 30,000 here on the central Kenai Peninsula. And our biggest event of the year is this local food festival that typically happens in September. These are pictures from 2019 when we had more than 3,000 people gather. So as you can imagine, last spring, when our group would normally be gearing up for the months of planning that it takes to put on this festival, we were having serious doubts about whether we could host a big community event in September. And meanwhile, there was an obvious and growing need for food and economic support in our community as a result of the pandemic and layoffs. So with a lot of regret, we decided to postpone the festival, take a year off, and focus our energy on a program that would still support local farmers and increase food access for families in need. So our Double Up program, doubling farmers market benefits, is not a new or particularly innovative idea. It's been done in markets all over the country. Studies show that these programs are generally well received and help people increase their intake of fruits and vegetables. So it's been done before. But prior to this year, there had never been any sort of doubling program in any of the 4 farmers markets that we have on the Central Peninsula. In fact, until this year, there wasn't even a farmer or market where that accepted SNAP benefits. We're just beginning to make some headway. So Double Up is our locally funded initiative to match the value of WIC and Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program coupons that are issued by the state of Alaska. So we match the $30 of coupons. This seems to me like such a small amount. $30 per person per farmer's market season that can be spent on unprocessed vegetables, fruit, herbs, and honey in the case of seniors. We were able to double with an additional $30 of Double Up coupons. So here are some of the, this is the value of farmers market coupons issued on the Central Peninsula last year. And what stands out to me here is that, and these are the statewide averages, 65% of state issued coupons to seniors were redeemed. Only 45% of farmers market coupons issued to WIC moms and their children. So in our area, only $8,600 of those of either of those coupons were actually redeemed. So our hope with this program was to make it more worthwhile for recipients to make it to the market and spend their state issued coupons, which, you know, is a benefit to our small local market farmers and the families themselves. So our essential partner for this program was Kenai Peninsula Food Bank. They host a weekly farmers market, and they agreed to help distribute the double up coupons and also to handle the reimbursement requests and write checks to farmers, since they have a full-time or at least a part-time bookkeeper that can do that sort of thing. Our program needed lots of other partners. So you see over here on the left, we were able to raise $9,000 from some local foundations, from a faith-based nonprofit, a church, our Kenai Peninsula Farm Bureau chapter, and we also started a GoFundMe campaign page for individual contributions. In addition to the food bank, we had several other distribution partners, which you see in the middle there. And we engaged every state office, the Kenai Indian tribe, and nonprofit that we could to help us spread the word. And of course, we made it easy for the local media to provide coverage by sending out press releases, and even more important, I think, making personal invitations to journalists. Journalists are people too, and they love to cover a good story, especially when you're in the middle of a pandemic. So the way the program has worked is the food bank prints these coupons that we designed. The folks who have received the seniors market or WIC coupons take them to one of the distribution locations where they are doubled on the spot. We had a very simple system of marking the state issued coupon with a highlighter so that they couldn't be doubled more than once. And then those coupons could simply be spent at any vendor booth displaying the double up signage. And we had 6 farmers participating overall, and these farmers were present at 4 different farmers markets during the course of the week and 2 different farm stands. And then approximately once a month, the farmers would gather up their coupons, and instead of depositing them at the bank, which they would prefer, they would take them or mail them to the food bank with a reimbursement request. Food bank would write a check, which would be mailed back or hand delivered the next week at the farmers market. Okay. Eve, am I doing all right on time? My clock disappeared. I'm going to keep going.
Yes, you're doing good.
Okay.
You have a few minutes.
Okay. So these were our 2020 results. You can see in the far right that we distributed $6,500 worth of coupons, reaching over 240 individuals. And of those 6,500, 85% were redeemed, which I think is a great indicator, much higher than the 45 and 65% redemption rates that we had seen the previous year with the state issued coupons. We did better with the seniors as far as distributing the coupons. There's much greater need for the WIC moms and kids, that we reach the seniors more easily because those double up coupons were distributed with the senior farmers market nutrition program coupons right at the food bank. The food bank did most of that distribution. It was since we started this program in late June, it was much harder. Even though the WIC office was helping us promote the program, we found that a lot of WIC moms were coming to the market and they hadn't heard about the program, although they were happy to learn about it when they got there. So we do plan to continue and expand this program next year, and to make it easier for people by finding ways to distribute the double up coupons at the same time as the WIC and Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program coupons. And I would like to say a special thank you to the Kenai Local Food Connection volunteers who put in so many hours. Susan in the green shirt up above, and Jeanette, who's here at the conference in the blue on the right. And if you were interested to see more, you could read up on the campaign at Double Up for Soldotna Area Families in Need at GoFundMe.com. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Heidi. That's awesome, and way to pull that off during the pandemic, during time when it was hard to get people together. It sounds like you guys did a great job. We're gonna just keep moving along, and I'm gonna pass things off to our last panel presenter, Brad.
Hey everybody. Thanks, Eve. Thanks, Heidi. That's awesome. So I'm Brad Sinclair. I own Goosefoot Farm, a diversified regenerative vegetable production outside of Fairbanks. I also have the fortune to be the general manager of the Tanana Valley Farmers Market, which is the oldest continuously running farmers market in the state. And I'm the vice president of the Alaska Farmers Market Association, an organization that represents farmers markets across the state of Alaska and providing them with resources and a unified voice. I'm going to talk a little bit about our matching program and food stamp except for SNAP acceptance at farmers markets in Alaska. So about 7 years ago, there was grant funding to provide farmers markets with a processing device and service fees, and a little bit of funding from the federal government, from the state, sorry, for matching SNAP benefits at farmers markets. And I jumped on that opportunity early on. And my kind of paradigm with a lot of programs that try to set up at our farmers market is trying to put them into autopilot. So we're not dependent on grant funding. We have built these systems that are sustainable in our organization that will self-support themselves. So once we got the grant funded device and had those fees paid for a couple years, the funding disappeared, and our market, as a market that is financially sustainable on its own, decided to continue accepting food stamps or the Quest cards at the farmers market, and went ahead and paid for our own device and our own fees and paid someone to run the device. Since then, doing some research in Alaska and food access rules, I found that the state of Alaska provides grocery stores with free processing devices and pays the service fees for those processes for Quest at supermarkets. So I asked if that would be able to be extended to farmers markets, and sure enough, currently the state of Alaska provides all farmers markets across the state a free device that is wirelessly connected, so you don't need power. It's got a battery, it connects to cell phone service, so all you need to have is cell access, or it could connect through Wi-Fi if that's the kind of connectivity your market has. And then they also pay for all the fees, so every transaction fee, once those cards are swiped, just like a credit card, there's a fee for processing. Before finding this out and getting this device at our market, the cost of operating the program became something that was obvious that a smaller market would be more challenged to support going forward. So I feel, okay, and so at our market, another piece of that grant funding that disappeared was the matching funding. And so I proposed to our board of directors to create a fund that we would do the matching ourselves. And for one season, we just set a certain dollar amount in that fund and that we collected from fees from vendors. Since then, we at our market have an ATM, and I proposed to our board that instead of taking the fee, which half of the fee when you swipe your card on the ATM goes to the farmer's market, instead of just having that that income going straight to our general fund, we have earmarked all of those fees to go into the Quest matching fund. So every time someone uses their card to get 20 bucks or $100 out of the ATM, $1, I think our fee is it's $1.25 actually, goes to this fund. So at this point, we actually have had enough matching funds to last the whole season. We actually had leftover last year that rolled over into this year's fund, and we had leftovers this year that will roll into next year's. And the more the ATM is used, the larger the fund grows. And so I feel that my role in food access in Alaska is more of the in the soil, on the street solutions. So like we were talking earlier, is putting that income directly into a local producer's pocket, talking about tangible change, tangible impact on our food system, is that with all this local talk and food access and food sovereignty, it's really based upon the fact that we have food and that we're basing this on producers. And I feel my experience, especially in the interior, is that we don't have the critical mass of producers yet that will actually get us to a point where we can develop these local programs to feed people this locally produced nutrient dense food. And so like the first thing that we need to do is, for the few producers that we do have, is to increase their income, is to increase their financial sustainability so that they can increase. Also, what that does is shows the next generation, hopefully, that farming, small scale, direct to consumer farms in Alaska is a financially viable vocation. And that if we're going to increase the health of our food system, we need them to jump in and be a part of it. So I feel a big piece of this is that getting kids to know that where their food comes from, and being at a farmer's market is a big step in educating that generation. So with SNAP and so many participants of SNAP being families with children, we've seen a large increase. And I feel that a big part of this also is making sure that our community knows that farmers markets are for everyone, is that food access and food equity is only achieved so that everyone can get that food. It's not just for those who can afford it. And we also believe farmers deserve to be paid what they need to be paid to be financially viable as a business, not that they need to. We don't value cheap food, we value high quality food and getting that into the hands of everybody. So really, for those of you that run markets or that are involved or consumers at a market, and you see a market that isn't accepting these benefits, please direct them to the Alaska Farmers Market Association website. We have a resource page that has all the information of who at the state to contact for this free processing machine, how you get all signed up for getting your FIS number from the federal government. And it seems at the beginning, and when I did it, daunting that you have to get had a personal interview and to be approved to accept these things. Once it is in place, we have only seen positives. More diversity at our market. We have seen the farmers really buy into, so it's not a forced thing that you participate in accepting Quest at our farmers market. It's something that the farmer gets to choose. And we have seen across the board participation. The more of those wooden nickels that are getting spent at our market, more farmers are jumping on and participating in that. So I feel like it's kind of a multifaceted approach of having those with more, supporting those with less, that those with less are bringing the full bore of their pockets doubled to support the farmers and that food access that we're all really looking to support here. Yeah, I think that's about what I wanted to talk about primarily. And then if you guys want to go back and talk about details, I would love to.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brad. I love that model and I love the sustainability of it. So I guess now we have about 25 minutes for questions. So I just want to let the audience know we're ready for questions. If you want to throw them in the chat or think of maybe you have one you've thought of while we're kind of getting that rolling, I have a question for the panel, and all of you can answer, or just whoever feels like answering, and we'll just move through some questions. So my first question is, you know, there are a lot of different approaches and different neat programs that you all bring to the table. Just from each of your perspective, I'd love to hear about one of the greatest challenges you faced in your work and what was your solution for that, just so that others can learn from your experience. Anybody want to kick that off?
I would say the greatest challenge is the whole initial setup for the program and finding these in-state resources and connecting our market with them. I feel like we've jumped those hurdles. AFMA, Alaska Farmers Market Association, is there as a partner for those of you to get over that. So I think there is a solution. I love problems with solutions. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's great, Brad. I love that. Why reinvent the wheel?
Our challenge for any new program is always getting the word out to everybody who needs to be, who could benefit. And so what we started doing early on was making sure that every WIC mom or senior who came up to the table to get double up coupons, we handed them a half-page flyer and asked, how many friends do you have who might benefit? How many? We'll give you that many flyers. And we hope that helped get out the word, but hard to say.
Hey, Daisy, could you, I'm trying to unmute your microphone. Could you just go to the lower left? There should be a little microphone down there with a line through it of your screen.
Is it there now?
There we go.
Yay.
I don't know how that happened, but I didn't touch it. Is it still my turn? Is it still my turn? Okay.
Yes.
What I was going to say, in addition to getting the market established, we have several other farmers in the community now who are participating and partnering with the Southside Community Market to sell their produce. And this past season, we relied on those farmers for items that were just that were selling out quickly, and also because we had our setup was that it was a pre-order prepaid, so we posted everything online so our customers could see what was available. And when we got requests for items that we didn't have enough of, these vendors, the other vendors and the other farmers just pitched right in and wanted to pitch in and help sell their products at our market. So we had a large number of new farmers that we were able to partner with.
That's great. Oh, sorry.
I'm just going to say that what we did with we have our members at the market can partner with us for a whole year. That's a very small fee of about $50. And it's because some people only come like maybe once a month or once every 2 months. Then they're just required to contribute about 10% of their gross sales to Calypso Farm until they reach that $50 margin. And that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a challenge they want to share?
If you're ready to take one from the audience, this is Charles Bingham in Sitka. And,
sure.
And with the Sitka Farmers Market, we've been eligible to take SNAP for about 11 years, and we've been able to take WIC coupons now for about 10 years. And the last 2 years, we haven't had anybody use SNAP. We get a lot of people using the WIC coupons, and I'm thinking part of that is because the WIC coupons are a supplemental to their monthly benefit. They're not part of their regular benefit. And I was just, how do we increase the people using SNAP? We used to have a lot of people using it, and I figured, especially this year with the with COVID and people losing jobs and that kind of thing, that we would see maybe people coming back to the SNAP. But I don't know if it was because there were a lot of food boxes in town that people were distributing, but we didn't see anything. And it's kind of frustrating because, we are promoting it, and I think it helps that we have a local WIC coordinator who's very good about getting the word out about the farmers market benefits. But the SNAP people down here, the Division of Public Assistance, they don't really, other than put a flyer up in their window. And of course, this year the office was closed most of the time for in-person visits. You can't see the flyer. So, any suggestions on, do we need to start a statewide, like a program where people on SNAP get WIC coupon kind of a thing, so that they have those that are in addition to the monthly benefit? Or how do we come up with ways to get more use of SNAP, because we want people of all income levels to have access to healthy local food?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Is there anybody who wants to tackle that? Any strategies that have worked from any of you to reach SNAP populations, or thoughts about how we can improve that around the state?
We have a large number of people who use SNAP, and we haven't seen a decrease in it, but that may be a tribute to the fact that we double food stamps. So.
This is what I was going to ask you, Charles. You all had figured out a way of doing double up for those benefits.
Yeah, we actually we were doing a 4-time match this year. Because we went to prepackaged boxes instead of pick your produce off the table. We went to for $5 worth of benefits or a $5 WIC coupon, you got a $20 box. So
wow.
It was like and we still had no takers.
Well, you know what they say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So I'd say put it out in all of your ads and make sure you keep pushing. The tortoise ends up winning the race.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that because we are putting it in all of our marketing and all that, but it is something that is kind of frustrating because we do have a high level of food insecurity. We're probably about 1/6, 1/7 of the people in Sitka are on some kind of food assistance.
The other thing that we do, which has proved to be very effective advertising, is that we send out a mass mailing of postcards to the community residents and to the apartment complexes, and inviting people to come to the market. And that's been fairly successful for us too. I don't know if anyone else does that or not.
I think that's a great idea. I'm wondering if, Heidi, you have any successes from your summer with the Double Up program that you think could work to help get people access SNAP participants, or Cheryl too, from your SNAP Ed perspective.
I think she's muted.
I I'm going to turn it over to Cheryl. We picked the easier part of this because we know there's a much bigger community of SNAP beneficiaries, and so we haven't figured out how to reach that group. But you know, one of the principles of any of these programs, and the Southside Market really demonstrates that, is include the people you hope to serve in solving these problems.
I think that's that's a really important point in the strategies that SNAP Ed is really trying to employ, is to get out into the communities and provide the nutrition education, not only direct nutrition education where we have formal evidence-based classes, but also indirect education where we're able to be out into these areas, and there are food demonstrations or nutrition education available at the markets. And I know in Sitka in the Southeast region, there are resources for nutrition education. And I'm just, listening and learning to everyone's programs and what are the possibilities for nutrition education. And I'm wondering if there's extension services in Sitka that can provide nutrition education with the Southeast Regional Health Corporation, what their nutrition education resources are. It does seem to be a holistic, rounded, really effort with nutrition education and outreach, and then all the work that you're doing at the farmers markets to really, bring the business end of it. So it's a lot of effort for everyone.
Yeah. Are there any other questions from people listening in?
Well, I'll ask a question. Getting the word out to the SNAP users and WIC users is one piece of the puzzle, making sure they know about these programs, but then connecting with the farmers so they sign up in time to be able to accept the coupons. That's another piece of the puzzle. So I'm wondering, how do all of the folks on the panel here, when do you start reaching out to farmers to try and encourage them to become recipients of these programs?
In Fairbanks, our farmers, Calypso Farm reimburses them for the SNAP coupons that they get from the customers who use the market, because not all of them can exchange them. So we do that ourselves. And so that's not a problem for the farmers at our market.
It's a good question, Amy, about getting farmers signed up early enough for the WIC and senior farmers markets, because usually the trainings happen before the market season begins. I try to work closely with our partners at the state agencies that are running the programs to send out information to farmers that were signed up the year before. I do a lot of outreach during the summer. There's always that one person that doesn't know what that coupon means and takes it, and I see it as a great learning opportunity. I'm sorry you lost $5, but here's the answer. You can make a call and get this training, and it's not that hard, and it's something that benefits not only the end user but the producer as well. Yes, like an ongoing, might be something that if we had a second training in the middle of the summer, we could maybe increase how many producers are on that program.
And it seems like this is a topic at every Alaska Farmers Market Association conference. Here are these programs. There's opportunity for winter education because the sign-up deadlines are in the spring. So I hope the Farm Bureau also is reminding all of its members, and Farmers Market Association is reminding all of its members, farmers get registered and they're good for 2 years, but then it's easy to forget that they have to get recertified.
So I just saw the question come up if the training was online, and every year it's a phone-in call to be recertified. So I don't think you can get certified online. It's a phone call currently.
I have a question for Nick, and if I may.
Yep.
And Nick, I think your program goes to the root of food access by really connecting kids and people with where, you know, the actual growing process. Here it is. You can see it in the garden, taste it here, take it with you. What was the area of your garden, and how many volunteer hours went into to doing what you've done with that garden?
It's probably, in this case, 300 square feet or something, or 500 square feet. It's not that big, really. I think some of our larger gardens maybe they rarely exceed like 1,000 square feet. So they're generally pretty small spaces. Volunteer hours, yeah, I mean, would it be 16 times 4 times 4, something like that? So a couple hundred over the course of the summer. So it doesn't really require, in either case, didn't require a huge amount of investment in time or space. But I think the impact in that case is great, in that a lot of people are coming to that particular food pantry every day. Another space that jumps to mind for me that I'd really love to see more utilized that already exists is school grounds, where you have a lot of people either there during the school year, but also a lot of people living around schools, neighborhoods who could utilize that space for food production. This is obviously, again, is on kind of a garden scale, so it only part of it's experiential, part of it's the nutrient dense food, but it's not quite the same as a mid-level farm that can really provide for thousands of people, or tens or hundreds of thousands of people.
Calypso Farm, last year we had about 5 school gardens, and the part of it, the staff used part of it as a training for the kids in terms of math and that kind of, but the older kids did the planting, and during the summertime, and they stayed on staff during the summertime working with Calypso Farms. They learned how to produce their own food, how to grow their own food, and the food that they grew, they could sell they sold some to the community, and the other other portion of the food went directly home with the kids to their families. So the families benefited from it, but again, the Calypso benefited from it in that we were able to sell, and the community benefited from it because we were able to sell the produce to the local residents who really count on the produce from the garden. They also, if we found that because of the parents and their children who attend the school and work the market, they were very protective of the garden. So they would go by and check on it, and so that was a lot of fun. This year we didn't have that contract, but it's something that we're looking into again for next year.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was going to ask a new question. So if you have a follow-up, you should go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering if the school gardens were not planted this year because of the pandemic. Is that
no? Actually, Calypso Farm staff planted the gardens. So because we didn't have the contract with the school this year, the gardens were planted, and they produced. I know the garden that's near my area where I live. They produce massive amount of potatoes and carrots, and those foods we donated to the senior center, and to other agencies in the community that had a need, and in addition to the senior centers, also to the senior residential complexes. So the food was well used and really benefited quite a few people who were on limited income.
Great.
So I know we're getting close on time. I had a question that I really wanted to ask this group, and I sent it all out to you, so I'm hoping that you'll have some good answers. But looking forward, as individuals who are really working on new ways to to get food and to people and improve food access and local food access, what are your big dream initiatives or programs? Like in an ideal world, what would be the next program that you'd get to work on to help improve food access?
That's wide open for anybody.
Yeah.
I wish we didn't need programs, but I wish every organization and workplace had a job for a trained farmer who produced, every therapeutic program had its own garden and a trained gardener like Nick to keep it going and to connect people with food as it's grown.
More next.
All right, there's the 5-minute warning.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'd love to see coordinators at all schools. I mean, in Anchorage, there are 90 different schools, maybe more. That's a huge amount of square footage, and it's all in a city that otherwise land is very expensive. Setting up utilities is very expensive. The manpower, or whatever, having people there to attend it is expensive. But these are institutions that typically only house people, are in operation outside of the growing season. And so it's a beautiful space, large green grassy pastures that are empty during June through August. So I'd love to see neighborhoods you be able to utilize that space and policy change that would allow neighborhoods to utilize that space for food production and community building.
I love that.
I'd have to say that is a really important policy or really important systems change that could happen in our communities is the public space that you're talking about with the schools and growing food. And I'm also really excited about implementing our healthy retail recognition program and seeing that grow over the next months, and really helping empower SNAP eligible community members to really utilize their buying power and to see that they just to see that they have the opportunity to buy healthy foods with their SNAP EBT.
I'm surprised that that there are people who don't use their SNAP coupons. I haven't heard too much about that here in Fairbanks. They use them at the supermarkets and all throughout the town here. So,
yeah, I think our big goal is to really help to make the healthier choice an easier choice for our community members. That it's very easy to walk into the store and to be able to easily identify foods that are healthy and that are going to be part of a complete meal for their families.
mm-hmm.
Really help to improve those environments.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I was going to have one thing that's going to change going forward and really have the most impact, is I would really like there to be work done in changing perception of ourselves and of our next generation, that the value in food is not its price, but its nutritional impact. And not only is it good for you, but it's good for your community to be eating local, healthy food. I think it's a value change that we need to start educating over, and that's actually like the root of a lot of the broken food system is a value change. And I think empowering people with the value of dense locally produced food is really important.
So what is the true cost of our food?
Pardon? I didn't hear you.
Oh, really emphasizing through our nutrition education efforts about what is the true cost of the food. It might seem like it's cheap, but what is the true cost of that in our environment, in our health?
Well, we have just 2 minutes left. I think those were all amazing answers. Are there any last burning questions from anybody? I see that we had a question in the chat about whether WIC, anybody has contacted the WIC offices about the narrow window of registration time or inability for markets to accept WIC. I don't know if anybody has an answer to that or has any resources.
There has been discussion over changing when that call-in phone call is. It's a balance between when farmers have a moment to make a phone call and when the federal feds have said that you need to be signed up, ready to go for the distribution of the coupons. So asking the question and making it a thing is the first step for sure, is speaking it into being. Yeah.
All right, well, it looks like we're at 11:45. So that brings us to the end of this. There's a break coming up, but everybody should go check out the auction site and see what's going on over there. There is a link in the chat box, but I think you can also get there from going back to the agenda. For the
auctions, when you say the auction site?
We are hosting an auction during the conference. But yeah, if you scroll up in the chat box or when you go back to the Whova site, there's a way to get to the auction from there. So yeah, go check out what's on. Otherwise, go have a quick break and then we'll see you back at the next item.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep. So when is that? You're thinking we're going to have another teleconference when you say?
Let me get back to the agenda.
Is that what you're talking about when you say the next item? You were meaning the next?
Yeah, so the next session, we have a half-hour break and then 12:15, everyone comes back in.
Oh, okay.
Together.
I didn't realize that. I think I was told that it was maybe from 10:15 to 11:15, but I guess that's not correct.
This session is done, but the conference is continuing. So in other rooms, there are more speakers, more stuff happening throughout the day.
Oh, okay then. Thank you. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's quite a big conference going on.
All right, Amy, I'm going to sign off. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, all of the speakers and all of the attendees today.
Nice meeting you all.
Yeah.